At this time, I would like to invite Junior Speaker of the Senate, Eric Hammer, and Junior President of the Undergraduate Student Association, Brock Wilkinson, forward.
At this time, we will have a coin flip to determine who will receive the first question. Mr. Hammer, as the challenger, would you like to call the coin flip?
Always bet on heads.
Heads, this is called. Heads. Would you like to go first or second for opening statements?
That'll take first.
At this time, I'd like to take a brief moment to explain the rules and procedures. First of all, these are the debate questions. They have not been seen by anyone other than myself and John Beck before this debate began, other than our advisors. And I'll hand them over to John to go ahead and open those for preparation. I'd like to take a brief minute to explain the rules and procedures of the debate. There will be two types of questions. First, let me add, each candidate will have the opportunity to make a 3-minute opening statement. Following opening statements, there will be two different types of questions, general questions and directed questions. The general question is a question that both candidates will answer. In such a case, they will get 2 minutes to answer that question. A directed question is a question directed to just one of the candidates. In such a case, that candidate will get 2 minutes to answer, followed by a 1-minute rebuttal from his opponent. If at any time myself or John Beck feel the need to ask a follow-up question, we will do so, and the candidate will get 1 minute to answer the follow-up question. Following our questions, there will be an opportunity for members of the audience, yourselves, to ask any questions that you choose. Following this portion, we will move on to a final period of closing statements, 3 minutes from each candidate. At this time, I'd like to welcome Eric Hammer, the current Speaker of the Senate, to give his opening statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wiltsey. I'm going to make sure this is on the level before I start. Anyway, it's great to see so many faces I recognize, but it's even more exciting to see so many new and fresh faces in the audience. My name is Eric Hammer, and I'm originally from Tonawanda. I went to Canisius High School. I'm a triple major in business economics, marketing, and political science. I was elected twice as a senator, and I'm currently Speaker of the Senate for the current session of the Undergraduate Student Association. I'm also currently the chair of the Senate Rules Committee, as well as a member of Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity, and a member of Pi Sigma Alpha and Beta Gamma Sigma Honor Societies. But regardless of whether I've known you for years, or I just introduced myself to you for the first time, I'd like to welcome you here, and thank you for coming out this Wednesday night to see us discuss the issues. I'd first like to define what my campaign is about. My entire campaign can be summed up in 4 words. I'm here for you. I'm not looking for this position to bolster my resume, and it's not about the title. I'm in it for every single one of you. I'm in it for my fellow students and everyone at Canisius College. My ideology is rooted in my passion for student issues. And my mission is to return student government to the students. I want to ensure the agenda of USA is representative of the problems and priorities of undergrads. I want to improve communication between the student body at USA. I want to take the initiative and proactively look for student issues in need of an advocate. I want to set a standard of leadership with direction by setting and achieving goals. In the next hour, I intend to prove that I'm both the best candidate for the job and that I represent you. I'm here for you. I conclude.
At this time, I'd like to welcome the current president of the Undergraduate Student Association, Brock Wilkinson, to give his 3-minute opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Wiltsey, and I liked your opening, Speaker Hammer. Basically, I'm going to talk about myself for a little bit. I'm an economics and finance major. I'm a member of Sigma Phi Epsilon, the social fraternity on campus, and I've been a member on Senate or senator since freshman year. Freshman year, I started out fall semester, didn't talk much. I still don't talk much, to tell you the truth. But, you know, I do listen, and I do make sure that everything, all the concerns of the students is heard. I say all a lot too. But this year, I've gotten to sit on a lot of adult administrative meetings including the Long Range Strategic Planning Committee, Regents meetings, trustee meetings, alumni board meetings, and I've gotten to see this school in the perspective of the administrators. And from that, I've learned a lot. And I'm also all over the halls. Like, there isn't one day, well, there isn't one week that you guys don't see me around, I would assume. But there's a lot of things that I would do differently. And I've kind of outlined this here on this little sheet of paper. It took me about a half hour, but I'm not going to start with it. But by the end of this hour, I'm going to plan to get through all of it. And I would like to think that this year went well, and I'm going to continue to do my job. And I'd like to thank you for all coming out tonight for this hour and a half when you could be watching a movie. Thank you.
Thank you both. This time I'd like to turn it over to Jonathan Beck, who will give us our first question.
Thank you, gentlemen. As Nick has already said, all of these questions have been read only by the two of us, as well as the advisors of the USA. The first question will be posed to Brock Wilkinson, and then Eric Hammer will be allowed to answer as well. As a reminder, each candidate will have 2 minutes initially to answer the question. Mr. Wilkinson, last summer, the administration of Canisius College came to the decision that they would no longer be able to fund the NFTA Metro Passes, which are used for unlimited subway and bus rides for students. This decision was made due to financial constraints. At that time, the Undergraduate Student Association made the decision to fund the Metro Passes for this school year with their budget. Going forward, the college will likely not be able to fund them. Do you think it is vital that this program be continued? And if so, how do you propose to pay for it?
Thank you. There's a lot of ways you can tackle this issue. This summer, it was brought to us, and I just realized I have 2 minutes for this, so I'm going to talk fast. Talking with the deans and the administration, they can no longer, fund it, and the Metro provides us our transportation downtown or uptown, whichever way you want to go. But you have nightlife, you have concerts, you have the First Niagara Center, like the Sabres games. You have the Shays. We have club events. Semi-formal was held down there. I think it's essential to our marketing campaign. I mean, just recently we changed our entire marketing plan. We're saying go to explore. Well, we have to explore, what we have here. Buffalo's our highlight, and if we can do something to, bring that out, it's going to have to be funded. And I realize that we pay for part of it, the administration pays for the other part. If the administration can't, the student government's going to have to do it. I plan to fund it, or you could do a lot of other things, but with a little tax increase from the students and a little tuition hike, which is bound to happen, sadly. But by raising the taxes, I think we're going to have to pay for the Metro. But if not, I'd like to renovate our shuttle system just so that our transportation is adequate to replace the Metro Passes that we'll no longer have. But we are like the elite college of Buffalo, and if we lose the Buffalo part, what are we? And we're in an urban area because we're a Jesuit institution. If we don't do that, if we don't fund it, we lose that connection downtown. And that's an important aspect to both the marketing, fun as a college student, and just being up to date with the culture. But thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkinson. Mr. Hammer,
First off, I'd like to clarify, do I have a minute or 2 minutes?
you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. I'd first like to start off in saying I'm very much in favor of funding Metro Passes. I feel like a lot of student services actually depend on those Metro Passes. Whether it's getting to work, where I do, I have a job downtown at the First Niagara Center, and I need a Metro Pass to get there every time. but also every other student that needs the Metro Passes to get home, to get to services, to get downtown. It's a lot safer to take the Metro Pass down there than it would be to get a cab or drive. Also, we have 2 metro stations on our campus. Only one other college in New York can say that, and that's NYU. I feel like we need to fund these, and I do agree that a nominal tax increase is necessary. However, the student tax is also tied to tuition. So I feel like at the same time as we might have to raise it nominally, I don't want to raise it any more than we need to. I don't want to add any student dollars besides the ones we already have. I don't want to tax the students more than we already are. I don't think that we need to, and I think that if tuition raises, that it will cover a portion of the spending that we would actually do with Metro Passes. I am very disappointed that the administration can't pay for this, and they basically gave us no other option other than to pick up the Metro Passes or drop them. But we have to deal with the cards that are given to us, and I think that we should choose to fund them. I conclude.
Thank you.
The next question will go to Mr. Hammer first. Mr. Hammer,
Yep.
at the end of each semester, clubs are required to submit budgets for approval by the USA Finance Committee and USA Senate. Please discuss the allocation process and provide any insights you may have about its current state or changes you would like to see made.
Well, first off, I've sat in too many 3-hour meetings and, to tell you that everything is A-okay with the allocation processes. And I know I'm looking directly at VP Allmendinger right now, and I know how hard he works to make sure that clubs get the money that they deserve and that they ask for, and what's properly given to them. I understand that clubs want more money for more events every year, and for a long time, we've been able to provide that. But the last couple of years, we've had to hold a hard line on the allocation process. I feel the Finance Committee does a great job with what they do in terms of figuring out what funds to provide. I also think that we could do better in terms of communicating with these clubs beforehand. A lot of times things are brought to Senate and we actually don't have any idea what they want. There's a very poor communication between these clubs that are coming to ask us for the money and the people that are actually going to be getting out the money in the Senate. So occasionally there's questions being thrown around, and like I've said, I'm still looking at you. You've done a fantastic job over this year, and I really appreciate it. But things need to change. We need to work on better communications between the clubs that we're actually going to be giving this money to and the student government. Thank you. I conclude.
Thank you. Mr. Wilkinson.
Since freshman year, I joined the Finance Committee, so I've sat on these 7-hour meetings multiple times. This year was actually the first year I didn't have to. But they do a lot of work. They go through the papers. It's actually on laptop now. Thanks. We're not killing any trees anymore, but they do a good job because they know that we only have $1 million to spend, roughly. Don't quote that. But through the 106 clubs, that's not a lot of money, especially when a lot of clubs are requesting 30 Gs. Maybe the biggest clubs are requesting 40. But can't really do much more to the process. It's been around for years and it's kind of established itself. But what I would like to see is an audit committee created. And I heard both VP of Business and Finance candidates mention that. And I think the audit committee is going to be very important, especially because of last night when Senate passed the Fair Trade initiative. I think that it's going to hold the Finance Committee more accountable for what's being spent. And I think the student government's going to have to be more responsible fiscally. And I think the VP of Business and Finance has big shoes to fill, especially since Mr. Allmendinger held the bar high this year. But how much time? 30 seconds. Okay. Well, money's money, and it's always going to raise an issue. You can't make everybody happy, even though I try to. It's not going to happen. But I really want to work more closely with all the VPs and committee chairs this year, and I think that's how it's going to happen. But I yield.
Thank you. The next question will go to Mr. Wilkinson first. Mr. Wilkinson, when myself and Mr. Beck started here at Canisius as members of the current senior class, there were under 100 clubs. There are now approaching 150. Some student leaders have proposed that, for purposes of financial savings and efficiency, we look into cutting the number of clubs at Canisius. Is this a valid proposal? If so, how would you go about reducing the number of clubs? If not, what do you suggest we do instead?
All right, I'm going to give you a quick, real life analogy. At this school, we have 100 or 60 majors, I don't even know, but the administration looks at these majors that we have similarly to we look at the amount of clubs we have. As the amount of majors go up, it kind of lowers the amount of students that are able to participate in every major. And we recently just had a strategic assessment from outside auditors come in to see what academic programs we could cut. So basically, for the student government, we would have to find an outside committee or make one from the senators who were ambitious enough to go in, look at all the different clubs that we have and organizations and make the appropriate cuts for the ones that aren't sending in budgets, for the ones that aren't, that don't have enough people participating, and for the ones that aren't being responsible with what they're given. That is a lot of work. And if that's something that the club leaders from the Council of Presidents partake, if they want, parse. But if they really want me to look at that, I will make that an initiative to take for next year, even over the summer, since, that's when you would want to get it done. I don't know what the COP or the Council of Presidents is what's gonna come of it next year, but I think that was like an unofficial way of seeing which clubs are active or not. We have 106 that are active with the COP right now, and that's nowhere near 150, but it also provides diversity for, once again, relating back to marketing. Because what it comes down to is if we don't attract new students that come to this campus isn't going to exist anymore. Recruiting is everything, and I think everybody here should think about going to accepted students on March 23rd at 11:45 a.m. in this room. But I really do think that's important. I can think about it later, but right now I can only give you the surface. But thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkinson. Mr. Hammer.
Thank you, first off. I don't think we need to be cutting clubs en masse as a crude bludgeon to save money. What I think we do need to be doing is trimming clubs and making sure every club we add is one that's going to benefit the students. Many clubs misspend and overspend in items that don't benefit students. We need to be doing a cost-benefit analysis on each event we provide and seeing exactly what benefits students the most. We don't need to be spending thousands of dollars on things that no student's going to benefit from. But we do need to provide and protect the clubs that actually go out, get awards, and come back with them, and also provide valuable, experiences and life experiences to the students, as well as a social opportunity. So, in conclusion, I do think that we could look at trimming, clubs that actually violate our policy. But I don't think that we need to cut a massive amount of clubs. I don't think that's necessary, and I think that infringes on the right of the students to actually create their own clubs, which is another huge thing at Canisius. Any student can create their own club. And you can't say that in many other places. And I feel like if you just start cutting clubs, it's going to be difficult for ones to form. I conclude.
Mr. Hammer, I have a follow-up question.
Absolutely.
You suggested that we could trim clubs that violate our policy. Were you referring strictly to the financial allocation policy?
I would say yes, I was referring to the general Finance Committee recommendations, because a lot of times what the Finance Committee does is trim down events that are unnecessary and they exceed reasonable expenditures. I would say holding the line on that is what I meant by that. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Thank you.
This fall, the USA Senate voted to create the Council of Presidents, or COP. According to the COP charter, all clubs must send one representative to monthly meetings or risk having their budgets frozen. A number of concerns have been raised regarding the COP. These concerns include, 1, that all clubs have to send one representative, even if their president is president of more than one club. 2, the time of the meetings. And 3, the nature of the meetings themselves. We'll begin this question with Mr. Hammer. What is your vision for the future of Council of Presidents?
Personally, I think the Council of Presidents was formed as a great idea. It's a way to bring together club leaders for the purpose of generally creating better events and opportunities that wouldn't exist had it not existed. However, in the past year, we've seen COP operate in ways that violate that original tenet. The way I change things is I change the way COP operates to create less physical meetings in terms of we don't need to be going every month to these meetings, sitting down and taking up club leaders' valuable time. I feel more of it could be done on the internet, sort of the way that Finance Committee operates. A lot of their things happen on the internet and they don't require 7-hour meetings because of all it's done on laptops. I feel like that would take the burden off of club leaders and actually let the Council Presidents get back to what it should be doing. Is there anything else I can offer? I conclude.
Mr. Hammer, under your plan for the Council of Presidents, who would be in charge of representing, leading, and organizing the Council of Presidents?
Now, you see, that is another thing that we've talked about in Senate all year. We've had a proposal for a VP of Clubs, which was, you are also in Rules Committee, you know all about that. But VP of Clubs was the way to bridge the gap between Senate and the Council Presidents. It was struck down by the Senate, and also the Council Presidents had multiple issues with it being a VP, and it eventually fell apart. I think the way to direct the COP is to take that leader of COP and somehow integrate them with Senate, according to their wishes. I don't believe that a VP is maybe the right way to go. I think maybe more representative on Senate, but somebody that actually heads the COP that's elected from the general body of the COP.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilkinson,
All right.
in response to the last question, you suggested that you are not sure what's going to happen next year with COP. I'll let you decide what that implies, but could you please explain what your vision is for the future of COP?
Yes, I will. Now, the COP, the Council of Presidents, my executive vice president put this all together. He's one of the smartest guys I know, and he can write a constitution in a week. Just put it together, lay it on the table, maybe just 1 or 2 typos, but you know, it's impressive, and I like the way that it's ran this year. The only thing that we did, though, as Senate, we would end up, you know, putting the pressure on COP to make the decisions for us. I can blame myself for a little bit of that because I felt as though I wanted the clubs to decide what the future would be for whatever proposals were brought up. Now, the whole idea about it being a pain for club leaders to go, it's once a month. I mean, I don't really want to go. Come on, it's another hour committee or another hour meeting I have to attend, but I'm still going to go because I want to get to know the club leaders on campus. That's 106 people in that room that are all motivated individuals that deserve their time and their voice to be heard, especially when the president of the Undergraduate Student Association is attending and can take what you guys say and actually do something about it. I meet with administration once a month like that for 2-hour meetings, 3-hour meetings, and when I can go back to them and tell them something that came up at a COP meeting, they're really excited and they like the idea because having all the club leaders in one room is amazing. That's our core talent here at Canisius, and the fact that we're all on the same page is amazing. But now for next year, what I would like to do, I have 30 seconds again, is the succession problem. Because a lot of the people that were in there are usually seniors. Now that means that they're going to have somebody come replace them, but we want somebody to be the Council of Presidents leader to take reins for next year. But say, okay, well anyway, basically I want it to be on a calendar year, elections on a calendar year instead of the semester year, so that a junior could be elected before the end of the school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkinson.
The next question will go to Mr. Wilkinson first. President Wilkinson, under the current USA Constitution, the Student Programming Board is a committee of the USA Senate and serves as the programming body for the Undergraduate Student Association. Some have suggested that this means the President of USA should have a hands-on approach with SPB and programming. Others have suggested that the ties between USA and SPB are too strong and should be severed, leaving SPB as its own autonomous club. What are your thoughts on the relationship between the USA President, the Senate, and the Student Programming Board?
I think that every student government should have an event planner essentially on its e-board, because it's kind of like the grad assistant role for CPLD, or if any club has a grad assistant, the events generally seem to, the grad assistant can put that amount of time into bigger events. Like, there's a noticeable difference between C Block and imagine if they didn't have a grad assistant. There would be a difference. So, but now every college has a student program board. It's just named different, and I think that one of my goals is to work closer with them, because my platform last year was to bring a big name, and Philip Phillips is huge. I was really glad to hear it, even though I never heard of him. And I just thought it was exciting to see that an American Idol guy came here, and he was good looking. But now, I think that I'm going to work closer with SPB and the rest of the VPs next year, because I want to hold them accountable and I want to set the bar high, because they do have a stipend and certain things have to be accomplished. But since they have a stipend and they have their own office and they work across from CPLD and they have that connection, they're able to hold bigger, better events, plan bigger, party better. But no, I think this can be done, and a lot of things are going to have to change. But I think the Spring Fest on May 3rd is going to be awesome, and I'm going to do whatever I can to make it awesome, because Spring Fest is a big part of that. And could you see a club of 20 people putting on Spring Fest with no stipend, no grad assistant, no CPLD support? It just wouldn't happen. And yeah, I yield.
Thank you. Speaker Hammer.
Thank you very much. I absolutely agree with you, Mr. Wilkinson. I mean, close cooperation between CPLD and Senate is a great thing. I also believe it's not just good, but necessary to provide events that students love and create better events. I've closely talked with Ann this year, at least, about the SPB events that are going on, especially towards the end of the year. I'm very much in favor of, I think that Spring Fest should be bigger. That's one of the big things I'm campaigning on. Is I believe that Spring Fest is way too small. It's a huge part of our budget already, but we need to plan better and think bigger. I mean, we bring in, you mentioned Philip Phillips, right? I mean, Philip Phillips is great, trust me. I followed American Idol, embarrassingly enough. But anyway, I was so happy when he was coming here. But there was only there's a limit to how many people you can put him on Sunset. There's a limit to how many students that can actually go in there and enjoy it. But I feel like Spring Fest is an event that more people can go to. It's open, it's free, and I feel like we should be spending our money there more. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As it currently stands, every member of the USA Executive Board receives a $1,000 stipend. No other club is funded for their officers to have similar stipends. Proponents of the stipends cite this as compensation for the high number of hours required for a USA e-board position. Others have criticized the stipends as unnecessary and unfair, offering that e-board positions in other classes and other clubs require just as much, if not more, of a time commitment. In addition, some argue that your service on the e-board will pay dividends in the future. What are your thoughts on e-board stipends, and would you like to see the policy continued or discontinued? This question will first go to Mr. Hammer.
Thank you very much. I would say first and foremost, my stance on this is to keep the stipends, and that's not just out of self-interest. I know we've had this discussion multiple times over the past couple of years, and a lot of clubs do contribute significant amounts of time. But at the same time, I feel like it's necessary for the amount of work that is put, our student leaders put forward to this organization. I believe Anthony did the math last year, and we were being paid at a $2 an hour for our contribution. Less than that? Okay, great. Less than $2 an hour for what we do, and that's not just that's just office hours, correct? That's not even anything that we do in addition to that. So that being said, it's a very small offset for the amount of time that we spend programming, going to meetings, and working on behalf of the student body. I also feel like it attracts the right people too. It attracts people that can actually give away their job and not have to take multiple commitments. And they can just focus on programming and doing great things for the students rather than trying to finance their own education. That's how I feel, and I conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Hammer. Mr. Wilkinson.
Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm currently drafting a bill to provide a Corvette to the USA president, but it's coming along. But now I'm going to give you a little bit of numbers here. It's 12 hours a week in the office, and then I listed the four administrative meetings I attend each month, and that comes out to 8 a month. So it's 56 hours a month. That's 224 a semester. That's 448 a year, and 1,000 divided by 448 is a little bit like 2.2. So I'm getting paid $2.2, correct, for every hour. Now that's very much below the minimum wage rate, and so I just wanted to correct the amount that we get the stipend for, and it's going to be around $5,000. So that's how much we should be getting paid, in all seriousness. But we do this in a reason for pure passion. Like, this is what we want to do, and we care about the students. Speaker Hammer sits at the Senate meetings just as much as I do, and we all have office hours. The senators do too. It's 2 hours if anybody wanted to inquire that. But I mean, that's on top of just doing extra stuff on the side. So like, that's where the under $2 comes from VP Crosay. But I really do take pride in what I do, and I don't do it for the money. I wish there was a Corvette, at Duke. I think the student government president, he gets a car and he gets tuition paid. They didn't accept my application there, but I try to do what I can, and I just hope these students appreciate it. I yield.